Learn local organisations, or Learn Locals, located in rural and regional communities, provide a vital service in supporting the most vulnerable learners in their communities.
We find many young people, particularly from low SES families, really do struggle to remain engaged in education.
Yet the outcomes from strategies to assist disadvantaged learners into vocational training and employment are not improving.
I noticed probably a downward trend in participation, and probably a downward trend in some of the effectiveness of some of the programs being delivered.
This is despite the best efforts of Learn Locals and their partners and the focus placed on achieving such outcomes.
And that's not a result of the providers themselves. It's more about the lack of good structure and systems to achieve the outcomes.
The Grampians Adult Community and Further Education, or ACFE Regional Council, has investigated the issues impacting on achieving strong employment outcomes for the most disadvantaged learners in rural locations.
Many of the children are facing serious family dysfunction and sometimes family breakup in their home lives. There's typically high absence rates from school, so the children miss out a lot on school. There's also low aspirations from their families, so children aren't encouraged to go to school or to achieve at school. Often their parents have had negative experiences at school themselves, and it's particularly relevant for Aboriginal families. So our Koori students really do struggle to remain engaged in education.
It is keen to support Learn Locals located in regional and rural areas to strengthen their connections with industry in order to ensure that they are able to support the most vulnerable learners in their communities.
We've heard stories of young Indigenous boys and girls being ostracised from other workers on the work sites and within other employment environments.
The research has found that one of the key issues for smaller Learn Locals is being able to attract suitable board members, and this issue is made even more difficult in small communities.
Some of the training that was being delivered in the regional centres wasn't really aimed at skilling the participants or the learners up for what they really needed to do.
Competent governance is critical to ensure Learn Locals remain vibrant and well connected to their communities.
I think that the expertise of having an educational provider very close to us, because we're just across the road, I think that geographically there's a relationship there that can be fostered, and also to have an environment for Indigenous kids to be able to come, and adults to be able to come here, and it's part of their place.
The Learn Locals in the Grampians ACFE region show a higher level of engagement in partnerships, and they demonstrate good partnership skills. However, the current partnerships, particularly in the rural areas, tend to be project-based, rather than strategic and capacity building.
Historically, the Hub had the Deadly Ute project that they had in partnership with a few organisations, but with Gulum, and I think that people remember that, so I think that there's some synergies there that we can work on.
The Regional Council research showing that small Learn Locals in rural locations would like assistance in engaging with local government, business and industry.
I was working for a long time before having children, and then I was a stay-at-home mum, and circumstances have changed now and I need to get back into the workforce, and I just needed some sort of direction.
Learn Locals generally indicated a willingness to participate in more capacity building cross-sectoral networks that enhance engagement with employers.
I see things differently now. I feel confident to do that, and I see confidence and energy with us, with the teacher.
Competition from private registered training organisations, especially fly-in, fly-out providers, is a serious issue in the region, and it impacts on market share, seeing vulnerable learners enticed into programs with poor employment prospects that negate their eligibility for any further subsidised training in their Learn Local.
We know of prisoners that have been long-term prisoners that have been there for 18, 19 years and are about to come out to this whole new world that they've never been part of before. And part of their planning for integration back into the real world they take courses. And there's cases recently that I've been made aware of where they've received Cert 4 training, but when they've gone out and tried to get work, they've been told they've actually been trained in the total wrong area. And to the point where they're so disappointed, like their motivation and drive is just blown out of the water because they've been told, look, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for the job, and if you wish to, you need to go off and do this training that now you're going to have to pay for.
The learners who participate in Learn Local classes are often challenging, coming from disadvantaged and disengaged backgrounds.
I was having troubles at my old school with some of the teachers that I had, and they didn't really understand. We can get a bit loud in this class, but we are pretty quiet. It can be like you can hear a pin drop in some of the classes, which is good because it does allow you the time to concentrate and you're not distracted by like 30 other kids, you know, you've only got 5 or so next to you.
No allowance in the funding structure is made for the Learn Locals to provide the support that is needed by people from these backgrounds to successfully engage in education.
It's more relaxed, like uniforms, assemblies, exams, tests. There's none of that, but you still learn.
Pre-accredited training is very flexible and can be adapted to suit individual learners. Learn Locals are often well placed to develop the partnerships required to provide pathways into further training that leads to employment.
The Hub is such a great community organisation and it provides a lot of pre-accredited training for people with low skills often. It's a great opportunity for people to improve their skills and get a sense of achievement that yes, they can achieve in education and training. And the Hub has got really good community connections both with the wider community but also with the Indigenous and the CALD communities. And it really provides, I suppose, a safe place for people to come along and improve their education.
The small rural Learn Locals in the Grampians ACFE region are not operating on a level playing field. They do not have the infrastructure or training resources of private RTOs, TAFE or industry, yet they play a vital role in reaching and supporting vulnerable learners and provide a critical pathway to accredited training and future employment.
If organisations like Learn Locals are going to survive and thrive into the future, then they need to be basing their planning on a sound evidence base, and that requires them to understand their own local labour market, but also to understand the context within which their labour market's located. So what's the broader labour market within the state or the country or at global level that can impact on industry growth in their area. And in order to do that, they really need to take that strategic foresight approach of looking into the future and thinking about what work might be like and what the opportunities might be like for their clients in the future. And the data gives them the base from which to do that.
Learn Local leaders must be provided with the time and professional development opportunities to develop the necessary partnerships that provide pathways to sustainable employment for the most vulnerable people in our communities. As such, it's vital that these organisations are more appropriately resourced and supported to ensure that rural communities do not lose this valuable service.
I'm out in a small country town at the moment. This brings me into Ballarat and I can see what's available and other people and their struggles, I guess. Knowing that I'm not alone, it helps, yes.